Hey everybody, it's Chris, and I'm here on a Monday night. I'm doing this in the evening instead of in the morning because right now almost everything works, and that's a big deal. And I always bring you into this thing when everything's busted, and usually by the end of Monday night, I have broken most everything in this game, and so nothing's a whole lot of fun to mess with. So I wanted to show you some new stuff. So right now we're at the very tippy top of the world. This is the highest point of terrain in the entire game. It's in the very dead center of the map, and the 0 point is actually pretty much straight down about, I'm going to say about 2,500 meters down. Or no, 1,000 meters down. It's 1,000 meters down. I'm pretty sure. It could be 1,500. I honestly haven't looked in a long time. But anyway, I haven't done a whole lot with the terrain lately. Not since adding that and getting adding the ocean and closing off the mountains at the end. I've still got some sculpting to do, but right now that is the least of my concerns because I've had a pretty good series of ideas. So the first one of those ideas is last week we were talking about the map room, and that's the room that we immediately are in when we fall off the edge of the world. It's it's where we go when we die. It's where we go. It's where we're going to go when we pause the game, and it's also where you're gonna go. Get this, when you leave the game. You see, your map room is not just a part of this game. Map room is a concept. It is a metaverse in and of itself. And right now, it's not a whole lot. There's not much going on. But map room is actually your portal to this world and other worlds that other users could create. I'll probably make more worlds. Now, the cool thing about MapRoom is there are certain game styles that they lend themselves to being used on different kinds of maps and different art styles. And, this one is a pretty forest place. Um, but so MapRoom has games that can be added to worlds. So right now you'll see I don't have my rings. Normally there's a bunch of rings here and I race through them and it's really fast. But in the base version of this world, there are no rings. It's just open space. It's just a sandbox. It's a place where you can come and play and hang out and do stuff. But now here's the big but. See these jetpacks? These jetpacks I'm using, I would have had to get by using the jetpack race. So you don't get these until you beat the jetpack race. But if this is just a world, then it doesn't have a jetpack race. It's just the terrain. So here's what I think I'm going to do for MapRoom. You're going to be able to download and install MapRoom on your computer. Attach it to your headset, or, it's probably going to be a headset game. So you attach it to your headset, and you're then in that little room, and you can come out into the sandbox. Now, in that initial download, that free download and install, you'll also get probably jetpack racing or some other thing. So the things like jetpack racing will be their own game. There'll be a DLC that can be added onto this world. It's just perfectly fitted for the space. And so for $5, you can buy the racing game that fits in, or the JetPack racing game that fits inside Purgatory. And once you beat that or get to a certain level in it, you get to take these jetpacks and you can bring them back to your map room. And you'll be able to use them then in the sandbox, which is where I'm at now. So the sandbox is going to be a big open world multiplayer, lots of people, lots and lots of people in here. And you can hang out with your friends in here. And yeah, you could play cards or something. That's you can hang out in the bar, you can do all sorts of things. And you can have the stuff that you initially had. Now here's the other thing. Let's say one of the games for MapRoom is the story mode for this game. Now that one will probably be more than $5. The story mode of this game will probably be a $30 game, but that's going to come with enemies and a plot and quests and the RPG sort of unfolding of events. But you'll be able to play that with your friends. You'll be able to form a group and bring other people from the multiplayer, from the massive open online world. You'll be able to bring them in and play with them in there. You can even bring them into your JetPack room, as long as they also have the JetPack add-on. So you and all your friends get your own copies of JetPack, and you can come into Purgatory and race your jetpacks and try to beat each other's high scores and stuff. Now, this week, I have been really busy with exactly that, the high scores and stuff. So, since MapRoom is its own thing, it has to have ways to save your progress, because you're going to have stats that are saved from one game style to another. So you have to be able to save things. And I was thinking about what it would be, how to save like a high score. Like, I know how to get my score from the jetpack race. I know how to find out what my time was. I have a timer that runs, and I can write that down at the end of the race. Now, instead of just writing it down, I thought it might be good to have a leaderboard. So this way it automatically sorts the high scores, and you can leave your initials or your player handle. And you could hold the high score for a long time if you were really good. If you got a score that nobody else could beat, you could hold it for years. And one of the things I want to do is I want to make a reward system. Like, if you're holding the global high score in one of the games, you should get a prize. You should get compensated. You should get a reward for however long you hold that record. Like, I don't know if it's like you should get $100 deposited in your bank account every month, or for as long as you have it, or what. Like, I think that ranking on the high scores should be something that people could get paid for, and pay for it out of the money that people spend on things like the jetpack race. And, people will probably pay for different add-ons for other things, or, cheats that'll help them beat the story mode. People will pay for that stuff, and I could use that to compensate players who hold the lead on things. And when players get compensated for their talent, more players come and try to beat them. And that creates a community. So I'm going to create a community in this game through economy as best as I can. So that's not what I came to show you today. The thing I wanted to show you today is in here, in this unassuming little cottage with the little go-kart parked outside. It's real strange. But inside this little place with the steps that I can't climb because my character controller is broken. I'll get it figured out one day. I know I will. But what I'm trying to say is, if we go in here, we're going to see our dude, and there's a table in front of him, and it says Load World Circuit Jetpack Race. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you've seen this button before. Now, there were some words here with it, and I'm an idiot sometimes, and I deleted them because I didn't realize what I was deleting when I deleted. Shut up. I didn't realize what I was deleting when I deleted them. So I'll have to redo that. It's not a big deal. It'll take 5 minutes. But this button is special because it does so many things. Eventually I want this button to be in the map room. I don't want it to be in here. Put it in the map room, and from there you launch the jetpack races. Now, check this out. If I come up here and I press the button goes away, and 2 other buttons appear, and one says exit race, and one says reset race. Now, neither of them say start the race. Do you know why? Because you don't have a starting gun. That's not how this race works. You can walk around for as long as you want, and until you race the race, it doesn't start. So I have to cross that starting line right there and hit that fire, make that fire go out for this race to start. And then you see this little timer here in my corner of my field of view. I don't know if you can see that. I moved it pretty far out of the screen. Let's see. Can I see it? I don't think y'all are going to be able to see that. But in the event that you are, it says 0.00. And my hand goes right through it. But that's an important thing, and it's new. It was always there, but it was smaller, and it didn't do what it does now. So you'll notice a lot of the same numbers on here. Like that's not how that's supposed to be. But that number is good. It's an insane score, though. But so I have a leaderboard, and it does automatically update. Poorly. Very poorly. And not every time. So I'm still having some trouble figuring out what's up with it. Because it doesn't seem to know what's going on any better than I do, and I'm pretty dumb. So the door came back and hit me. Anyway, so if I go through that checkpoint right there, this timer that you may or may not be able to see will start going. And until this afternoon, that didn't work. And I literally worked on it all weekend. And then this afternoon, while I was at work, I realized what was wrong. And when I got back home, I had a moment and I fixed the timer. Now, if I go through the wrong checkpoint, I have another thing that pops up that says wrong checkpoint. It's right in the middle, and it's there to warn me so that I will go back and fix it. However, there's a bug in the way that it tracks how to get back on track if you've missed a checkpoint. So what ends up happening is the checkpoint that you're supposed to go through turns back on, but the one that you went through by accident has turned off. And so now you can't go back through that. So there is no correct checkpoint to go through after you've gone through the right one again. So I have to figure that out best I can. I know there's a way to do it. It just seems like a whole lot of code. And I feel like I know what it needs to do and what needs to do it. So it will just take me an hour and a half or so. But anyway, I'm going to run this race. And I found in a video I tried to make this morning before I went to work that I cannot race that very well if I'm talking. So I'm going to not talk for a minute, and I'm just going to bomb these rings as best as I can. Now, I've had some incredible scores on this. Like yesterday or last week, I was getting 295 seconds, which is a long time. At the beginning of this weekend, this past weekend, like I'd say Friday afternoon, I was getting like 260s instead of 290s. So I'm getting 260s. I shaved a half a minute off my time. And then I started getting like 238. And I was like, I don't know how anyone can beat this. And then today I got a 224. And I'm just like, how do you shave 14 seconds off a time you didn't think you could beat before? And so I'm realizing how many variables there are to this race and how many opportunities there are to really mess your time up. And you don't think about it because it doesn't really feel like you've lost speed because you're in VR and you're moving fast, and moving is moving. It's just like, I'm going. But so you don't realize how much time you're losing by slowing down and how much your momentum plays into the race. You know, you have to build up speed. It's not just instantly there, even though it feels like it's instantly there. It seems like it is. Now, I will get a speedometer on here also. I also want to get a percent complete counter, something to just tell how far through the race you are. In case you're starting to get tired, you can look and you're like, oh, good, I'm at 80%. Or you can compare it to your time there and be like, okay, normally when I'm at 80%, I'm at this time. Oh, I'm at, I'm only at 70% right now and I already crossed that time. There's no way I'm going to win this race. I should restart, save my time. So there's a lot of different ways to use those variables. And so I just want to make them available on screen for the user without being in the way. That's why my timestamp is over here off to the side, because I don't want it to be stuck in the middle of view where you're trying to look. I want it to be something you have to look over for, but not too far. Also, I found that the world is a frame or two behind me when it comes to movement, or at least that UI is. And actually, I think it's the whole world. I think it's just the way the head tracks, and the way that the world updates to it. Which is why it kind of fuzzes for a second when I move. It like blurs vision. That's actually how it's rendering things. And I want it to do that for the world, but I don't want it to do that for my UI. And so I have to figure out the best way to deal with that. And I will, just probably not today. But so now I'm going to go through that ring right there. And I'm going to do it really fast. And then I'm going to shut my mouth and run the race. All the fires will go out behind me. I'll show you afterwards. Here we go. I always mess that one up. And you can go backwards through them if you have to. Oh, my timer says it's just past 60 seconds. I'm not sure if I'm going to convert that into minutes or not. I might just leave it as a count up. So it was a pretty impressive run, but the overall time has not been great. Definitely better than times that I have done on video before. That's the best lap I've ever recorded. 2:41.82. So last week when I was running these, I had to actually take my headset off and look at my my computer monitor to find out what my time was. But this time, it's right there, and it stopped. It stopped when I passed through the last checkpoint because that's what the race does. Now, you'll see that my fires are out. All of them are out because each of these checkpoints was flown through. Now, this is the same place that earlier did not have any checkpoints in it. There were no checkpoints. There were no rings. They just didn't exist. And I can make them not exist again. In fact, I'm gonna. But first, I'm gonna look at this leaderboard, and I did not beat any of those times. So even if that leaderboard works properly, which it could or could not, it's hard to tell. Either way, this time would not appear on it. And that was really what I was going for. So if I exit race, or if I restart race, first I want to look at something on my screen. I want to find out what has occurred as per the World Circuit JetPack race. The race statistics say race complete, which means that this thing is currently logging the new score that I just got. And it has logged it 3,100 times. So I'm going to hit reset race. And now that should no longer be logging. It is not. It says race complete recycle and race reset. Complete recycle means that the thing that was adding high scores to this has stopped doing that. Now, it's supposed to do the complete recycle as soon as the timer stops. And it should not wait for me to press the restart race. So, and I'm also not sure when it does the saving. Does it save it to the file as soon as I score? Does it save it over and I think it saves over and over and over again from the moment I score. But it only allows it to store 10 of them. So one time it worked correctly and I got that 24 up there. And I think I know how I did that. So I might be able to fix that. I might be able to fix it pretty easily. But for now, see that ring that's out there? It's right out the window between the trees. Yeah. It's going to go away now. And the single button came back. I kicked the table way over there. Otherwise, that would be over here too and be a part of the party. Can I do it? That's almost perfect. It's really hard to move just a little. Unless I actually like physically move in my house. Like in my real house, in my real person, I can like move my head. And that makes the thing think that my entire body moved. That's always fun. Oh, I almost got it. I'm not going to make that happen because I can't grab it to move it. I can only bump into it. And my motion is not super precise. Like I can get it pretty slow, but that takes like you have to really try to do that. But I think it's because my character is high friction, and so it makes me brake different, like break from the ground differently. So I need to put a set of these jetpacks in the house. And since jetpack racing is only going to be one game out of the smorgasbord of stuff that is going to be MapRoom or Purgatory, Purgatory is the map. And MapRoom is where you get stuff to put in the map. Everyone will have it. I promise. It's going to be big. Because I won't be the only developer making maps for it. Other people will have maps. They might take maps from games you already know. Somebody could build Skyrim and then just play all those games in it. So the only thing they would have to do is, like, they wouldn't have to make a jetpack racing game, but they would have to place the rings in spots where they want them to be. They could choose, instead of fire, they could make it something else. Instead of a ring, it could be, instead of a stone ring, it could be, you know, a fluffy thing. Like, it could be anything. Like, however, whatever art style they want to use for it's up to them. But I can give them access to it. So they have their map room, and they use something like Unity to make a world like this, and then they put it up. And then they start modifying things to put in. And it'll be a lot easier to use than as if you were just making a video game. Like, basically it's just reskinning a game at that point, and it'd be your own thing. It'd be like when you got your first MySpace and you could customize it however you wanted. Well, MapRoom would allow worlds like that, where you could have a world and customize it. But all these games would already exist in it, including jetpack racing. And, you know, story mode games. Like, I could think of 100 different stories that could be told in this space. Because it's just a space. It's not a story in itself. Like, it's just a little town. I didn't, like, put a house down because I needed a house for this part of the story. It was like I wanted a house. So there's a ton of different things and combinations of side quests and characters that you could meet and tasks that you could accomplish. Ways to make money in the game, in-game currency, and maybe even real money. As far as like having leaderboard status, yeah, I want that to be a paid gig. Also, if you are the highest leveled player in the game, you should probably get something for that too. Like, I want my game to be something that people can do really well and get compensated for it. And kind of like sports, it would be an e-sport. Like, you'd be the best jetpack racer in the world, and 100 other people have put jetpack racing in their game, and so you've gone through all their courses and you've got the top score in a bunch of them, which would give you the best overall score, which would make you the highest ranked player. And to have that across worlds that lots of people could make is crazy cool. But, that's still many years off for me. Like, right now, my goal is to get MapRoom with Purgatory attached to it as the map. And I want to have like 5 different games in it, including a story mode. So the games have been really great because they're teaching me how to build my story mode game. The things that I'm learning making these little games like jetpack racing, they really add a lot. I don't know why that shows up. It's been doing it lately. There was an update and it'll go away in a second. And it doesn't give me the option to press a button on it. It's not in the game. It's part of the Oculus. And right now I'm not interacting with the Oculus. But yeah, so what I really need to get is I need to get MapRoom as a thing that can be saved on a person's desktop, and they can open it, plug in, or they can, open the app, plug in their headset, sync it up, and be in that room. And from that room, they'll have different maps that they can open. The first one that I'm going to release will be Purgatory. That's the first map that MapRoom as a company will release in its own platform. Now, JetPack Racing will be one of the first games that gets released for Purgatory. And there will be some car racing stuff. And the games might be a little primitive at first. Like the jetpack race is getting more advanced, but deep down it's just a primitive little, get the character through the hoop game. And, yeah, there's a lot of skill involved in it, but it's still a very simple game as far as, video games go. Because I'm just learning and I can't take on gigantic, enormous things like a story mode game just yet. But I can have jetpack racing as a thing that gets done in this game. Now, what if the story mode game, you have to first, before you play a level in it, you will have to play that game in MapRoom. So, like, if there's a section of the story mode game, of the Purgatory game, that you have to jetpack for, you might want to build up your jetpack skill. So you could do that in the jetpack game, or you could do it within the Purgatory story mode. But, you might be able to level up a little faster if you were in a racing game dedicated specifically to that. Even though it's a separate game, you would still. Oh, okay. So the coolest part about MapRoom is every map in MapRoom and every game that can be attached to a map in MapRoom will all honor the same style character stats and inventory items. So if you are a level 100 in a game, you're level 100 in the next game, unless you choose to be lower, but you have earned the right to be a level 100 as a MapRoom gamer. And if you have jetpacks in the jetpack race, you have those, or you have your jetpack skill at least. You might actually even have the jetpacks, depending on what breaks the rules for that game. It might not be the kind of game where jetpacks are, really good for the gameplay. Some of them, it could break their entire game concept, so you might not want him in there. But you'd be able to use your skill sets, any stats that you have for using the jetpacks would carry over to similar stats in another game, and be useful there. So you'll be able to have your custom avatar be able to go from game to game, because MapRoom will be honoring all the same character data from one game to another, which means you can have one saved file. So your MapRoom is a VR room that is saved on your computer's desktop or in your headset if they get to be advanced enough to do it. So you have that in your headset, and you have a character or two. You can have multiple characters that you play as that you've leveled up over time. and they can play. You can play as those characters with those leveled up skill sets in a bunch of different games. So that means that everything has to be the same scale, which means a meter in my game has to be a meter in someone else's game if it's going to be on MapRoom. Luckily, I listened to the experts when I started this game, and I went with a 1-to-1 scale, where if I say something is a meter, it's because the building material I'm using is recognized by the computer as being 1 meter as the standard. Like, it's standardized across video games, not just mine, but video games and computer science in general recognize that what I have as a 1 meter is 1 meter. And so it will be, if somebody plays this game or takes a component from this game and mixes it into another game that's also to scale, 1 meter here will be 1 meter there. Otherwise, it could get really messed up where this bush could be the size of a mountain if the scale was off. Or it could be the size of my JetPack if the scale was off the other direction. So it's important that that all the games have the same scale. Otherwise, things get out of control pretty quick. Oh, this is somewhere where we were on our JetPack race. We actually flew through here, and this was one of the spots I kept bouncing off the walls. This is a really tough spot. The rings are actually really tight, close in, so you end up bouncing the whole time off of each and every one of these, and it throws you all over the place. You hit the ground here. I made these bumpy on purpose. I might smooth them out a bit at some point, but I'm not sure. I do need to come through and repaint a lot of it. I did not do extensive work on that. I think I tried to, but I didn't do very well. I think I did better over here, to be fair. Yeah, moving around is pretty cool in here. It's the jetpacks, really. Like they even have pink fire. I should make that a little more orange. But I went with blue light in here, and it's making things that were orange a little pink. Yeah, I thought about going with just regular white. Like, wow, look at that water. That is just gorgeous. Okay, it's a little shiny from that side. Oh, and I can do this wall walkie thing. It's weird, but I can do it. And that's pretty close to vertical. I shouldn't be able to do that. Cool thing is I can't stand here without sliding. Yeah, the water's pretty. I like it. I'm a fan. I take you guys up here almost every time I make a video now. Or at least I did the last 2 times. So I have to fix this. I have been talking about it for 2 weeks. I adjusted the edge of the world height when I put in the ocean. And actually, you know what? We can go up because things still render properly. So I can give you an idea of what I actually did. Right there is what was the edge of the world and the top of that mountain. And it was taller than that mountain over there. And it came all the way up like here. And I shrank that whole thing down from here all the way over to, oh, well, there's some that I didn't fix yet. I guess I haven't flown over it in a while. This is what the water looks like when it's... This is what the water looks like. It's just a flat plane. You can go right through it. Wow, it looks pretty cool. And that is what it looks like when something is too steep, because terrain textures don't work on it when it's steep like that. Now, if it was a texture of something else that was allowed to be vertical, that'd be fine, but terrain is technically just a plane. It's a flat thing, and you just raise up spots and then connect the dots. But you can't connect the dots with new patterns in texture. You can just stretch the patterns that are already there. And that's what we're seeing here. You see how it's stretched right up. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I took you guys on a tour of the reason for this. Although, back then, we could barely see from one end of it to the other. So, this time, we can see what we're looking at here. And it's a really long thing that takes a long time to travel from one end to the other. Like, we still got quite a ways to go. That's actually a wide path. It's not the narrow little one. It's about 3 times the width of the normal path that we've been walking inside. Now, I will do more out here than just have this squared off curb of a road. But I had this here for a purpose, and it was to test out a glitch. And I tested it out in another video before, but because we're here and it's fun, I'm gonna do it. Now, it doesn't always work, which is really bugging me. But when it does, it really does. There it goes. So we just crossed the entire world in a very short amount of time. That could be another thing to do in the JetPack race, is a drag race right there. Actually, that's a really good idea. Yep, that's going to happen. So that means I have to protect this drag strip. Now, if I go this way, it doesn't work as well because I actually have to reach the ground again. Like, I'm still going pretty quickly, but I'm going downhill now, which means I have to get back to the ground, and in order to get back down to the ground, I have to fall farther than I was at when I left the ground. All right, so we got back pretty quickly, but I could put a checkpoint, one of those rings, put it right here. So this way you could get a good running start. Get all lined up, and then you could start your race, and it'd be just like the other checkpoint race. You'd have to go through a bunch of checkpoints. They'd all be in a row right here. And it would be an ending checkpoint at the end to get your drag race time, to figure out what you actually did. I could do that, and I could do that pretty easily with what I've already got in the JetPack race. See, the cool thing about the JetPack race and the way I made it super scalable, which means it can have any number of checkpoints in it, just so long as whatever folder I put them in the proper order, so the computer knows which order I'm supposed to be going through them, or the player is supposed to be going through them. So The reason I did it that way was because right now the racetrack starts over there and it gets to over there. And there's still a bunch of world left, like 2/3, maybe 3/4 of 2/3 of a world. I have 2/3 of a world left to put racetrack in. And I wanted it all to be one race that I could then break up into a bunch of smaller races also. So what I can do is just keep adding more rings. And I just, at the end, I put them in the folder in order with the rest of the rings for the jetpack race. I can keep going for as many as I want. I could put 1,000 of them in there. In fact, there's 226 of them in there right now. And if I'm 2/3 of the way, that means I'll be right around 710 or something. And that'll just be one race. And that doesn't count the middle of the map. So if I do the middle of the map, we're talking maybe 1,200. Right now, the one race with 226 rings, counting the starting line, 226 rings counting the starting line gets me from there up and around that mountain, through there, around here, down this, through that cut, and then up that way and down over here. If I go from there, then I would probably want to come down around in here a little bit, meander around, get me over here, drop down into that, hit over there to those, back around. I'm not going to cross bodies of water because unless there's a bridge handy. I will put bridges. Actually, I'll probably put a few of them over here for specifically that. But then have some that go down and around in through this. I'll probably then come over to the beach area. And a lot of wandering around again. Ooh, I might even take it up into that mountain there. I've even thought about having a spot that goes over water, but I'm concerned because right now the water doesn't do anything in response to the player. And if I'm going to be skimming along the water, I'd like it to at least ripple a bit. Like right now, it's doing what it's doing. I could create a particle effect behind me if I'm close enough to water, it goes off. And that's actually something I think I will have to do. But that could backfire in places where if I'm like right here, I don't need to be sending off rooster tails because I'm within 6 feet of water. Because technically that water is going right beneath me. Like it's one flat plane, and right here it's just that the mountain sticks up in the way. But that flat plane exists under this mountain. It's going right through it. It's still there, the whole place. It's actually one big flat plane covering the entire world underneath. It's there. It's not there, though. A lot of the water is separately placed ponds. We saw a bunch of them earlier. I was pointing them out. And those are the exact same thing, just, smaller versions of it. Oh, I made a change, and I wonder how it affected things down here. Because there were some truly deep spots. This might be as low as it'll go. Yeah, I think this is the terrain floor. As low as terrain can be. And then I got some little bumps. And then the water comes up. Okay. So that's what that is. I had another substance down there, and I have officially gotten rid of it for the time being. I got rid of a bunch of stuff that I thought was causing glitchy behavior, and in doing so, I quite advertently got rid of some things that I really liked. It was like killing babies. Somebody said editing is like killing babies, and I agree. Where you don't feel good about it, but you know you have to do it. And you don't have to kill babies. Like nobody's out there telling you to kill babies. But having to cut things out of the game that I like feels a lot like killing babies, you know? But you got to do it. And as the game gets better, I'm going to be killing a lot more babies like that place. I really like it, even though it's really broken, but any developer who ever saw this would just laugh his or her or their ass off at how bad I am at this. Like, like that's not right. That's not how that's supposed to look at all. No, it's all bad. In fact, I think there's some upstairs that are like legit broken. Oh yeah, this one. This is just like super bad because of how I made that piece of wall. I did it the wrong way. Oh, I really need to fix that. Oh, I can walk right through it also. Um maybe this one's real. That one's real, but all the other ones are not. Huh. I'm gonna have to figure out what's up with that. I've made some changes to things. Yeah, this one's not as bad as the other. Oh, and this is bad. Yeah, that's supposed to be a wood grain, but it's oh, if you look at this on the side, this is real trip. It's like it looks like water. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's real bad. And oh, it's I think it's just because I blew it up so big. Because I made a triangle and then I stretched the triangle. And I didn't realize that when I stretched the triangle, I stretched whatever image was going to get painted on it. I thought if I applied the image to it afterwards, it would go on the proper size. But I was terribly incorrect, as I often am. That was real strange. How did I end up there? But okay. Yeah. I would like to go out to the. Oh, I can go out that kind of. Huh. Oh, you know what? I haven't been down here in a long time. Are there still lights down here? I totally got rid of those. But okay. Yeah, I haven't been down here in a very long time. Like, real long. I need it to be dark down here. I need this building to cast a shadow. And it currently doesn't. Because it's like I barely even need the lights. Because if you look out there, it's shiny. Like, that's not supposed to be shiny. I also should not be able to peer up through the floor like I can, apparently. Yeah, my colliders are all messed up, but I did find some stuff out about my player height and why it's wrong, and I am in the process of correcting it. I haven't begun it, but I know what needs to happen, I think. But yeah, so this was the races just a couple minutes ago. And now there's no races here. We got rid of them. We're like, nah, we don't need no stinking races here. Now it's just a nice woodland path that needs a little bit of work still. It doesn't seem quite so shitty when there's the rings on it. But when the rings aren't on it, it kind of looks like a shitty path. Like I could have done better. Huh. I guess we will figure that out as we go. The other thing about making a world that can have a bunch of different style games in it is you have to find an art style and a structure style that, a terrain style that actually fits with everything, that actually looks good with all the different apparatuses that you're going to have. Um, like if I have a car racing game, I'm going to have to put in roads somewhere. Now, the roads might just, uh, take the place of some of these footpaths, but then what happens to the rest of the footpaths? So, is it still a walking world where they have cars for sport? Is this a walking world that has jetpacks for sport? Or would everybody just use the jetpacks all the time? So these are the important questions I got to ask myself, because I don't want to make something that invalidates the entire concept of why people would even be in here. And I'm dumb enough to do that. So I got to be careful. But so there's a couple of spots where my frame rate goes really crazy. Just goes bonkers. Now right here it's fine, but if I turn around while I'm rotating, that is not fine. Like if it's fine that way, I get here and it starts doing that. I am over here, it's fine. I'm over here and it starts doing that. And it's like I don't understand what's causing that. And I would really like to find out because it's just right here. Like, what is it in this space that my player can see that is so bad? So let's go up and see. Well, there's some water. There's those things, but I have lots of those, and they shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Is it whenever I'm looking toward the castle? Well, I'm just looking across the dead center of the whole place. So while I'm looking in that direction, my eyeballs are set to where they're pointing at everything. There's a large amount of game in my field of vision right now. Even though it's being blocked by all this stuff, it's still there. And it's causing quite the commotion in my headset. So I need to figure out how best to make my headset appreciate this place. It could also be the stretched out terrain and the really shitty paint job. Yeah, I could paint this better. But it could be this stretched out terrain doing it. I don't know. Other places with stretched out terrain don't do it. So it is a when I look towards the center of the world thing. Now it does get to be problematic sometimes. Like another spot where it really bugs me is coming through here. When I'm doing this part through the race, I get there and it just geeks right out. Coming through this is torturous because I'm once again looking directly at the castle. And so it makes me wonder, do I need to do something to the castle? Is there something going on in the castle that is causing all of that? Now, if I'm over here doing it, it's not as bad. Well, let me get to the ground first. And see. From here, it's pretty consistent. So I really do think It has to do with the distance. It's not the amount of well, it's the amount of terrain within that distance. Now, it should be occluded. Occlusion. Occlusion is this really great thing that happens where the computer doesn't render stuff that you can't see. So if there's something in the way, it doesn't even try. And that should be the case when we're down here. That mountain is totally in the way, so it shouldn't try to render the things that are beyond it. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time around things lately. I need to get rid of these guys. There's too many of them in the world, and I believe that is causing part of my glitchiness. There's one on each of these buildings in the exact same spot. So that's 1, 2. Where did I put the others? Was it all the way around the side? So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 of those, each with their own little dude. Plus, I have 4 of the cottages, each with their own little dude. So that's 13 little dudes. And then there's another dude in the castle and a ragdoll. So not counting the ragdoll, that's 14 dudes. Plus me makes 15, which is the largest number of VR multiplayers I think you can have. I don't know why he's so high up off the ground. That's wrong. Maybe I lifted him so he was the height of me. I did. I lifted him to my height once so that I could see how high off the ground he actually was, because that would let me know how high off the ground I kinda am. Oh yeah, that explodes. I'm gonna have to put them in places. I wonder if my jetpacks can make them explode. Where did it go? I wonder if I can even hit it with my jetpacks. Like, I don't know the scenario where I can get my jetpacks to hit that thing. That's an exploding barrel, and is doing a bad job at exploding. And I don't have a weapon on me. Nor am I trying to get one. But yeah, so I have exploding barrels. Like, there's a lot of stuff and gizmos and things that I have in this game. Some of this stuff I haven't even used yet. Like, there's some things I don't even know what they do. Like, what is that? That's part of a bow, like a bow and arrow, and I don't know why it's like that. It's been a while. Huh. Oh wow, I can't even kick that ball. Am I floating above the ground? Huh. Yeah, that's strange. I'm not kicking stuff. Oh, I'm kicking that. And that. And one of them has a knife in it. I think it's this one. No, actually, I don't think either of them have a knife in it anymore because I am pretty sure I accidentally deleted the knife. We'll see when that disappears because that'll disappear in a second. Maybe I changed the. Oh, it does have a knife. I see the handle. I was pretty sure I deleted that. And that's breakable when I shoot it. Otherwise, it's not. Um, that's a lightsaber. That is a zip line handle, but I don't know where the zip line rope is. I have not yet figured that out. That is a golf ball or a ping pong ball. I think it's a ping pong ball. And I forgot it was over here. But with it down there, I cannot get it. It's literally impossible for me to get that. I wonder if that zipline thing, if it was up higher and I just grabbed onto it, would it just create? Would it just create line? That makes me wonder. I need to put that in a place that it's not just floating on the floor. And right now it's just floating on the floor. And I can't reach far enough to get it because I am too tall. And it doesn't have the ring helper on it. The ring helper is that little white circle that appeared on this when I dropped it on the ground and I went to pick it up and it turned blue. That's called the ring helper. And it's also the thing that makes these rings turn white when I'm grabbing things in them. But yeah, it's called the ring helper, and it's super great. So I've been in here a long time now. This might be the longest video I've done, and I think I'm gonna get out of here now. That was a pretty long one. So where should we end? Let's go right back to where we started. Oh, yeah, we haven't done anything yet with that. I'm going to save that. I showed it to you guys last week, but I have not done a single thing in there since then. There would be no point in going back in. We are going to end this shebang right up here, the highest point in all of Purgatory. And, yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris, and I'm bad at Unity. That's what I always say. Woohoo! So this is falling. Look, Ma, no jetpacks.